wanted to share with you today how collagen is here to stay. It literally is the most abundant protein that we have, that we are made of. Literally over 30% of all the protein in our entire body is collagen. And sadly, in our early 20s, we start producing less of it, like legit less of it. This is something I actually didn't appreciate till about a decade ago, maybe a little longer. A good friend of ours who was in the beauty space, just an amazing gal, hairdresser and hair extension specialist, and really a wellness expert of her own right. She introduced me to that concept in collagen, that literally in your early 20s, you start to decrease production of it. And so she's been supplementing for, gosh, over 2.5 decades now. She's into her mid 40s and amazing health and fitness and all the things. And of course, what a lot of the ladies want, skin, hair, and nails that are like the same, if not as youthful as they were many, many years ago, because she's been supplementing with collagen. And so I got interested in it about a decade ago when I met her. And it's been a super interesting journey because I used to see it as something that was just one of these passing fads, right? I mean, it's all over the place. You see it, the powders, the stuff that people are putting in their coffee, the creamers, the beauty products, the skin application of it, the gummies. I mean, it's everywhere, right? So number one, first and foremost, like, does it even work? Are you wasting your money, right? Or this is just one of those trends that's going to die out and fizzle over a couple of years. And today we're going to break down all of that. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into the data. You guys know I love to share the data and what's the background and backstory and how it's been studied and what it shows. This is not my soapbox. This is me sharing what I've gleaned from the research, from reading the data. And so we're going to break down what it is, what this collagen stuff is. Do we need a supplement at all? What does the research say? And what other nutrients could be even more beneficial to add to your collagen to make it more robust, so that your body not only can absorb more of it, but so that it can turn on the collagen production in your body. And what's the protocol that I use for the collagen that I take? Because I do take it because I care about not just my skin hydration and how I look now that I'm well into my 50s and definitely have more wrinkles than I did a decade or two ago. And I care about that, but more about my function, about my joints and my bones, skin, and the gut, right? The gut is composed of a matrix of collagen that helps get it tight. That we have these things called tight junctions that keep our gut from becoming leaky. And we don't want leaky gut because that's one of the biggest causes of inflammation out there. And so many things that are not awesome if you have leaky gut. And collagen is one of those basic proteins that supports the gut, actually type 3 collagen. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So I'll share about that. I'll share about the nutrients that I like to take with my collagen. And by the end of today's episode, which is like 30 minutes from now, you're going to have a plethora of abundant health and wellness information about my favorite protein, the most predominant in the whole entire human body, that is collagen. So let's get into it. What's the basics? So as I shared, over 60 in your body, the most abundant protein we have, over 30%, is collagen. It's the biggest quantity of any protein that makes us human. More than muscle, collagen is number one. Like over a third of our body is collagen with respect to the protein. And so it is literally the scaffolding that makes us human. It's the matrix, it's the bones, it's the joints, it's our skin. Without collagen, we'd be, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that original OG Ghostbusters movie back in the 80s, where there was that ghost that was kind of this slimy blob of gel. And, if he got to you, they would say, "Oh, he slimed me." And we would literally be like that. We would just be blobs of, gel, if you will. We wouldn't be able to stand up. We wouldn't have the strength in our bones without collagen. It's that important. It forms the scaffolding that makes us bipeds, that makes us to be able to stand on our 2 feet, to run and to jump and to do all those things that we love to do as humans. And it makes up our hair, skin, and nails as well. Our tendons, our ligaments, the cartilage between the bones, right? The cushion, the shock absorbers, if you will. And of course, also it makes up our blood vessels, which are super important to keep us living. And the gut scaffolding, as I shared just a few minutes ago, keeps us healthy in that way, so we don't get leaky gut. All of the connective tissue in our bodies is made up primarily of collagen. So not to belabor it, but there's lots of types of it. There's at least 28 that I'm familiar with, probably more by now. And the main ones that you hear about, type 1, 2, and 3, right? Number 1, type 1, it's in not only the hair, skin, and nails, but in the bones. So it's really a foundational collagen. Type 2, primarily in the joints, the cartilage, those shock absorbers, if you will. Type 3 is in the scaffolding, like that makes up your gut, your blood vessels, et cetera, et cetera. Your organs and your heart, for example, it's primarily collagen, right? Crazy, but yeah, that's true. And so these are the common forms that we find, and that the collagen peptides that you may be supplementing with are composed of. And the reason that this became so trendy, if you will, is because, as I shared at the outset, we start to decrease our body's native production of collagen in our 20s, like no joke. And as we age, that production kind of goes down and down and down. By middle age, like where I'm at in my 50s, 53rd year of life, it's down even more, the production of collagen, than it was in my 20s, when it was already diminishing. And so, especially for women out there, during menopause and perimenopause, which is this 8 to 12 year time frame, typically the hormonal shifts that are occurring there actually can dramatically decrease the collagen production. So what happens? Well, we all know what happens. I can show you here my crow's feet around my eyes, right? We get more wrinkles. Our skin becomes less elastic as we age. If we don't do something about this, our skin thins. We can get injured more easily. Our joints, our bones can become more brittle if we don't have the collagen. We don't recover as quickly. We can get that achiness, the joint stiffness, if you will, the reduced mobility that may challenge us, getting up and at it, if you will. And our bone strength can diminish if we're not actively doing something to increase our body's production of collagen. And if we're just living the normal industrialized lifestyle here in North America, if you will, where we have the SAD diet, right? The standard American diet, which is full of processed foods, the big three: highly processed sugars, highly processed grains and flours, and the highly processed seed oils, which are super inflammatory, and other things that we do, like that cause chronic inflammation, like poor sleep, excess stress, other chemicals that are out there, toxins that we may be exposed to through modern living, or if we're adding things to it like smoking or alcohol, things like that, that can, and excess sugar even in and of itself, can decrease our collagen production, and also not only decrease the production, but cause accelerated breakdown. In other words, it breaks down even more quickly. So this is why I tell patients, it's, aging is not just about getting older, right? It's about maintaining the structural proteins that keep us young, keep us strong, keep us resilient. It's something that helps us to not only add years to our life, but literally add life to our years. And so collagen peptides are often what you see in the literature. This is what's been studied. These are the smaller chains of amino acids, if you will, that they typically in a supplement form. In fact, the one that I take is no different. It is in collagen peptides, because it's the shorter segments of amino acids that help the body to be able to absorb it more easily. And what's interesting, and a lot of people don't understand this, it's not just that you take the collagen and bang, it goes to where it's needed in the body to be used. It doesn't quite work that way. Like anything that you eat, it's broken down in your gastrointestinal tract, right? And what's interesting about the collagen peptides is when you take them in these small segments, the peptides, they will stimulate. It's kind of like a signal. It tells your body that, hey, it's time to produce more of this stuff. It's a signal in this cell called the fibroblast. The fibroblast is the cell that produces collagen. And so they actually act as a signaling molecule that stimulates these cells called the fibroblast to make more of this collagen matrix, the stuff that is our body's scaffolding, as I shared. It's kind of like if you're building a house, right? You first start with the foundation, and then somebody frames it, whether it be with wood or block, concrete block, or metal. You got to have the framing, and that's what the collagen does for us. It's literally our scaffolding, or our framing, if you will. And what's interesting is when you take supplemental collagen, not only does it provide those basic building blocks, but it also provides a signal. And that's, I think, what is probably the most important, is the signaling that occurs to tell those fibroblast cells, hey, we need to start making more collagen, because that signal is diminished as we age, even as early as your 20s. And so this is something that is super useful because it kind of turns on the production. Plus, you have more of the building blocks because you're providing them, right? In the collagen peptides, as they get broken down into their signature smaller parts called the amino acids, they can be easily rebuilt, if you will, to make collagen into that structural integrity, that powerful protein that it is in our bodies. And so I first wanted to talk about what most people sort of visualize or have heard about collagen in the kind of beauty space, right? The hair, the skin, and the nails. And we all kind of care about this to some degree, but this is where it gets the most attention, I think, in the health and wellness space, right? Because there's a lot of literature that looks at this. And what's cool is there's plenty of data that is shared with respect to the utility of the collagen in this example. There was a study just recently in the journal Nutrients 2023, and it was entitled Effects of Oral Collagen for Skin Anti-Aging. And this was a systematic review and meta-analysis. So it was like about 2,000 patients, 26 different randomized control trials. And what was cool is that they found that the collagen increased skin elasticity and hydration. And this was based upon several randomized controlled trials. And they suggested at the end that collagen peptide supplementation can have beneficial and positive effects on skin health. And this was cool because they looked at 26 different randomized controlled studies. And this was about 2,000 patients worth of data. And they found basically that there's plenty of evidence to suggest that it can increase the plumpness or hydration of your skin, the elasticity, if you will, as well as decreasing the fine lines and wrinkles. Like, who wouldn't want that? And the typical time frame that was looked at in these studies was between 8 and 12 weeks. So it's not immediate. It's not like tomorrow. But after you've been taking a product like this for 2 to 3 months, you'll notice significant change. Usually I see people noticing some changes in their hair, their skin, their nails. And this is usually around the 2-month mark, sometimes a little earlier, but 2 to 3 months. So you don't want to discredit collagen because you just take it for a week or 2 or 3 or maybe 1 month and you're like, it didn't really work. Well, even the data shows it takes a couple of months, right? And so, in fact, my wife just recently was telling me about something she was doing, 2 different types of collagen, kind of cool. One is primarily the type 1 collagen, right? That's the primary type that's in our bones, in our hair, skin, and nails. And then another one that primarily has type 2, which has been traditionally the one that I focused on because that's the one in the joints. And I need all the help I can get in my joints because I'm punishing them through all of the things I'm doing with jumping and the aggressive adrenaline type sports that I do, from snowboarding, hitting these big jumps, skateboarding, surfing, rock climbing, and all these kinds of things. In fact, last week I was in Florida, and at the gym there, they had one of those 2-foot high boxes that you can jump up on. Like if you were doing a class or something, there's a lot of folks that do this type of cross training. I'd never done it. And I was, just had a birthday, my 53rd year of life, and I was able to jump up onto this 2-foot box, no problem. And I was really kind of excited that even though I'm totally untrained in that, I've never taken a CrossFit class or anything, I was easily able to jump up and down on this thing. And what helped me so much to do this is my joints, right? And that's primarily the type 2 collagen, which I've been taking for years. And now I actually add a type 1 for everything else, hair, skin, and nails, and also bone health. And typically you'll notice differences, as I shared, over 2 to 3 months time in your skin hydration, the elasticity of your skin, the strength of your nails, the fullness of your hair. It's super important. And it's, like I said, this recent study that came out, 2023, over 20 some odd studies and 2,000 patients. And this was something that it was basically not left to debate any longer. There's enough data to back this, that collagen in the hair, skin, and nails, in the beauty space, it's very beneficial. And I think that most of it comes from the signaling, if you will, that occurs with those fibroblasts that are like, hey, we need to make more collagen. And if you throw in some other ingredients, which I'll talk about in a bit, you can even enhance that. And so that's the cool thing. You'll notice that as you supplement, especially with type 1 collagen here, your nails will grow a little bit faster, they'll get stronger, they'll be less brittle, your hair will be fuller and healthier. And who could be sad about that, right? There was actually this recent study I was reading in preparation for this. This is 2024, so just actually less than 2 years ago. This was entitled, this was in the journal Dermatology, and was entitled "The Clinical Trial That Shows Improvement in Skin Collagen Hydration, Elasticity, Wrinkles, Scalp, Hair Condition following 12-week oral intake of a supplement containing hydrolyzed collagen peptides. That's like the one I take, and you may take something like this. So 12 weeks, right? They had to give it some time. This is not something that occurs overnight. 12 weeks, that's about 3 months. And what was cool is that they showed on microscopy, in other words, they used a microscope and were able to look at the collagen matrix in the folks that they were trialing here, and they showed an improvement in the structure of their collagen, like down to the microscopic level. Like significantly, they showed improvements in skin hydration by 14%, elasticity increased by 23%, the average improvement in the scalp overall was 11%, and a 28% increase in the number of hair. Like this actually helped with hair growth. Like this is cool for guys like me that are starting to have some thinning hair. Like it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you add a type 1 collagen to your regime? And this was actually a 32% increase in the clinical score for hair healthiness. So that's really cool. So many benefits. This was like I shared 2024, just a little under 2 years ago in the Dermatology Resident Practice Journal. If you want that study, I can share it with you. Just message me, Dr. Thomas Hemingway on Instagram. And I'll just share with you personally, I've noticed that in myself and in many patients that start to supplement with a type 1 collagen, that they notice in the typical dose I use around 10 grams a day. 5 grams might be enough for some people, but I've looked at this over the years, and most of these studies that show the significant impact is about 10 grams a day. You'll start to notice these healthier skin, hair, nails, and also the bones actually get more robust and strengthened in about 3 months, right? In about 3 to 4 months, 90 to 120 days. Like this study was 120 days. Let me just share with you that here's somebody that I worked with. She came in. She was just barely into her 50s, similar age to myself. She had some issues with, she'd wake up kind of achy. She was not loving the wrinkles that had been appearing, right? Her skin was a little bit more dry. Her exercise recovery wasn't as prompt as it used to be. And she just thought this was aging. Like her regular doc was like, you're in your 50s now. This is just something you just got to get used to. And I told her, reject that. There's actually so much that you can do here. We started first with the basic things like optimizing sleep and strength training 3 days a week, and taking omegas, vitamin D, hydrating, and protein optimization, making sure she got at least 30 grams of protein at every meal. And then we added 10 grams of these collagen peptides. We were working on type 1 collagen here because she was interested in her hair, skin, and nails. And so that's kind of where I start. If you want additional impact with your joints, you might want to take a type 2 collagen. I'll share about that in just a moment. And after 3 months, she noticed, hey, I wake up in the morning and I'm less stiff. My skin was feeling more plump and more hydrated. And this wasn't with injecting collagen. This was simply with taking it, and her body got the signaling, got the memo, if you will. Those fibroblasts were producing more collagen, and she noticed it. Also, it improves the hydration. She got better recovery after her workouts. And this significantly helped her. And it wasn't just the collagen. She was doing all the other things too, but it was awesome to see the synergy that occurred here with the addition of a collagen supplement. For her, it was 10 grams a day. And that's kind of where I recommend for most people. And then with the healthy lifestyle things, it's all about stacking. These things work synergistically, they work together. And we were able to optimize this as we looked at her hormones, and we looked at her inflammation, this marker called highly sensitive CRP. Hers was a little elevated, showing inflammation, which wasn't uncommon, right? And that's probably part of why her joints were hurting in the morning. And as we focused on the basics and we threw in the collagen too and optimized her protein, her sleep, and her strength training, she got like noticeably, I mean, she literally called me. She was like, hey, this is cool. Like, I'm feeling so much better. My joints are not aching anymore. I can run up the stairs, whereas I used to kind of go gingerly up and down because my knees would hurt. And it was like night and day. I was just pumped because I know how this can be so impactful. If you can run up the stairs and you hadn't done that in a decade, like that's worth it. So let's talk about joints a little bit. I love, and over the years, I have loved taking a type 2 collagen supplement, because that's sort of the main infrastructure, if you will, of the cartilage between the bones. You don't want to have that osteoarthritis with the bone on bone grinding, if you will. You want to have a nice, healthy collagen shock absorber, if you will, between your joints. And this is where collagen type 2 specifically has been shown to be hugely beneficial, because those joints, right, that cushion between there, the cartilage, it's primarily collagen. right? And as it breaks down and deteriorates, you get osteoarthritis. This is where your knees start to hurt, right? Your ankles hurt, your hips get a little stiff, your mobility might diminish. And there was a study that I want to share quickly from 2021 in the journal Amino Acids, and it's entitled "The Effects of Collagen Peptide Supplementation on Body Composition, Collagen Synthesis, and Recovery from Joint Injury and Exercise." And this was cool because they also did a meta-analysis. They looked up a bunch of different studies, at least 12 in this particular one were chosen to be included. Two were in older folks, one was in premenopausal women, and they found that universally collagen supplementation diminished joint pain, and it helped body composition, and it also diminished muscle soreness and enhanced recovery after exercise. It increased not only collagen synthesis, but also muscle protein synthesis. This was actually super cool. In this study, they used 10 grams of the type 1 and 5 grams of the type 2, so a total of 15 grams a day, which is actually what I'm personally taking now. Both of these, and I can share with you if you message me, Dr. Thomas Hemingway on Instagram or Thomas Hemingway MD on Facebook, I can share with you the exact regimen that I use. And what's cool is there is plenty of data that show how taking a supplement can increase your own body's production of this collagen. As I shared, the fibroblasts kind of wake up and they're like, oh, you better make some more of this collagen stuff, and this will help you recover better. There's lots of studies looking at diminished joint pain with collagen, so much so that I found a dozen of them looking in my research prior to this podcast today. And it was cool because it was showing how taking a supplement can support not only your cartilage metabolism, which is that you make more and you degrade it less, because the collagen breakdown is a big issue too as you age. And it's part of one of the reasons that people have joint pain is their body is sort of eating up the cartilage quicker than it's replacing it. And so anybody who is over 30, I would say, could tremendously benefit. Even if you're super into health and you're in your 20s and you don't want to lose that collagen production that already starts in your 20s, like my friend, Harmony is her name, just beautiful soul and amazingly healthy young lady. She started taking collagen in her 20s. And I'm going to tell you, it has not, I mean, she hasn't done anything bad for her. It's helped her tremendously. She still takes it to this day. Like, it's literally one of those things that she has been sharing about for decades. And so it can help any of us, especially those of us that are older than 30, any of us that are active, whether it be running or lifting or pickleball playing, golfing, surfing, whatever it is that you like to do. If you want to continue that and stay active for the duration, for decades more, like, collagen should be on your top 10 list for sure if you want to maintain that kind of overall body health for your bones, your hair, skin, and nails, your joints. So important. And I want to share briefly now about kind of how this works together, the collagen and the bone health, because bones aren't just about calcium, right? Oh, take your calcium, take your calcium. Well, it's much more than that, because bone, yes, it has calcium, but it's primarily made of this type 1 collagen that I've been sharing about. And it provides that structure. And in that structure, calcium is a part of that. It gets deposited there in the bone, which is what makes it a little bit stiffer there. But the structure in and of itself is primarily collagen. And there's many studies, lots of data that show how taking supplemental collagen can help support bone health. In fact, there's one I wanted to share with you. And this talks about, it's from the journal Orthopedic Reviews a couple of years ago. Actually, no, more recently, only 1 year ago, 2025. It's entitled "The Effects of Type 1 Collagen on Supplementation on Bones, Muscles, and Joints." And so what was cool is that they looked at a bunch of studies, right? This was specifically type 1. This is hair, skin, and nails, and bones. This is the one I take 10 grams of daily. And they looked at 4,000 some odd articles, 36 randomized controlled trials. So that's kind of like the gold standard research, right? That's where you have a group that gets the collagen, a placebo group, and they look at them side by side. And guess what? They found that that type 1 collagen supplementation had very promising results. It was cool. They were like, dang, this is beneficial. Like, more people should be taking this. They found decreases in the osteoarthritis scores, right? People were waking up with much less joint pain, much less disability. It was huge. It was huge. They increased their strength, the bones, tendons, and ligaments and muscles, all of them became more healthy. And so this was most of them used 10 grams a day, which is I recommend as well for the type 1 collagen. And mostly this is paired with vitamin C. The reason for that is that it helps with the absorption, right? And vitamin C is also required to make collagen. You need it. You got to have vitamin C. You got to have sufficient vitamin C. And so actually the specific collagen I use not only has vitamin C in it, but some of the most healthy, amazing, I would say superfoods that have lots of, of just pure vitamin C. And you can also, if you're into some of these citrus fruits, my favorite is kiwi. We just bought these amazing kiwis this past week at Costco, and I actually tried this. I have this collagen supplement, actually two different ones that I take, and I've been taking them with like half a kiwi because that has the vitamin C, if you will, and those paired together can be super beneficial. Other things you might want to consider pairing would be like hyaluronic acid. That's going to support the joint hydration, lubrication. Synergistically works really well with collagen. Actually, the one I take has hyaluronic acid in it, as well as glucosamine, which is great for supporting that cartilage. The type 2 collagen that supports the cartilage, that sort of shock absorber, if you will, between the big bones like the knees, the hips, etc. Chondroitin and glucosamine can help aid that as well. And then the nutrients zinc and copper are super important cofactors in the connective tissue health. And so, like I shared, my favorite protocol is basically about 15 grams a day, 10 grams of type 1, 5 grams of type 2, that's the joints, and adding it to your regime. You can put it in your coffee, in your smoothie, your protein shake, however you want it, or just take a chug like I do. And it's been awesome because I've noticed in myself, not only do I not wake up with joint pain, but I am having healthier hair, skin, and nails, and my hair is definitely thicker than it was a few months ago before I added a bigger dose of that type 1 collagen. As I shared, I've been taking type 2 collagen for a while now because I've been more interested in the function of my joints, because I do a lot of things that tax my joints, whether it be dropping into a skateboard ramp, which this week has been fun. We just kind of rejuvenated our half pipe that we have here in the backyard in Hawaii, and my kids have been excited. My youngest boy never really got to skate it because he was young when we built it about 10 years ago, and it was not in a good shape the last couple of years, so he hasn't really been able to use it. Now he's dropping in, doing turns on it, and I'm able to do it right there with him in my 50s on this half pipe. And it wouldn't be possible without the collagen, because it's helped me tremendously. And so I want to share another case with you about one of my favorite scenarios where I helped a guy who was in his early 50s, and he was into super active sports. He loved to hike. He loved to lift weights. He was actually a CrossFitter. And when we added the collagen, as well as we did some mobility work, we had to enhance his protein optimization because he wasn't getting his 100 plus grams of protein a day, which most people should shoot for 100 plus. And a guy, I shoot for about, myself personally, 150 grams of protein a day. And this part of that protein can come from your 15 grams of collagen, right? The 10 for the type 1, the hair, skin, and nails, the 5 for the type 2. And as we optimize this in him, as well as doing, the strength training 3 to 4 days a week, we did some mobility stuff. He was into the CrossFit, and he would tell me that he got more bang for his buck when he would do his CrossFit. But the thing that he noticed even more is that he recovered quickly and much quicker than before, and his joints hurt less, which was super cool. And so that's the real win. Is for him, it wasn't just fewer wrinkles, although he did notice, in fact, he said his wife shared with him that he had improved in that way, but he noticed the functional things like less knee pain, just more mobility. He just felt like his joints were operating better and smoother. And that's what I love about collagen, because it's not just about adding years, right, to your life, living longer. It's adding life to each and every year. So I wanted just to share a couple of cases where I've seen significant benefits, and the data is definitely there, as I shared with you. There's so much data nowadays, literally thousands of patients and hundreds and even thousands of studies on collagen, which are super beneficial. And if you put the two together, if you use a type 1, that's usually around 10 grams a day, a type 2, around 5 grams, for a total about 15 grams, you've already gotten over 10% of your protein for the day, right? For me, that's exactly 10%. For most people, it's more like 15% of their protein. And so it really helps them to get additional protein in, but it also specifically targets that fibroblast cell, which is the one that makes your native cartilage and your native structural scaffolding that help you with your hair, skin, and nails, your joints, your gut. The lining of your gut gets stronger through collagen supplementation. I actually am so grateful for Harmony, who introduced me to the fact that cartilage and collagen, if you will, it decreases in production in all of us in our 20s. I wish I would have started sooner, to be honest. As I'm sharing right now, I'm doing these episodes in my Instagram on lessons I wish I had learned in my 30s. Now that I'm in my 50s, 20 years later, there's a couple of sort of predominant health benefits and strategy that I now know about that I wish I would have known in my 30s. One of them is taking collagen each and every day. I think I would have suffered a lot less. I had a lot of joint pain, a lot of back pain, a lot of knee pain over the years. And I'll be honest, I don't really have that very often anymore. And collagen is certainly part of that story. So if you're interested, you want to reach out and know exactly the protocol I use, feel free to message me, Dr. Thomas Hemingway, and I'd love to share that with you. And until next time, remember, the goal here isn't just to simply live longer, though that's kind of cool. You get more years with your family and friends and those that you love, but it's to live stronger and sharper and more capable and active for decades to come. So you can do the things that you want to do that maybe you thought were no longer possible at your age. Well, I'm here to share and to confirm that it is possible, that you are worth it, that you can do this. And this collagen thing, it's not just a fad. It's here to stay. And I'm going to take it for the rest of my days, because why wouldn't I want to keep doing the things that I love to do each and every day? And I'm so grateful that collagen is part of that picture. So until next time, a big aloha.